If you're already running a business or about to start one, you've probably got a reading list the size of Mount Everest. Everybody had their favorite must-read, and after a while, it starts adding up. If only you could find a little help distilling that mountain of a reading pile down to only the most important tidbits. You're in the right place. We've gone ahead and read hundreds of the most popular business books. There were a surprising number of similarities between them, so we put them together all in one place. Here are the 5 best takeaways from hundreds of business books. Dealing with competition. So much of modern business is viewed through the lens of a competitive marketplace. You've probably spent countless sleepless nights worried about the best way to outmaneuver your competition, as do most entrepreneurs. However, there's a very common piece of advice given by dozens of successful business owners which teaches us exactly how to overcome our competition. Simply stop competing. It seems counterintuitive, but we've seen it work time and time again. In Purple Cow, Seth Godin tells us that the best way to get noticed is to be remarkable. If you're different enough from your competition, you're not even competing for the same customers. The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing parrots this advice by advising the importance of being the very first to market. According to the author, if you can't be the first, you should claim a new market to be the first in. You can't be everything to everybody, so you might as well stop trying and be something special to just a few people. Finally, a book that expands on this is the Blue Ocean Strategy, which is all about finding an area of business where competition hasn't already bloodied the water. The bottom line from these books is, the only way to escape competition is by claiming a market space where the only competition is you. Maximizing your time. In his book, Great by Choice, Jim Collins advises to make progress every single day. This is absolutely necessary due to the sad fact that humans don't live forever. If you want to make significant progress, you're always fighting an uphill battle against time. The number of hours in a day is a handicap that affects everybody on Earth. So you're going to have to make some very smart choices about how you're spending your time and what you're dedicating your energy towards. The book, The Other 8 Hours, is filled with practical advice for getting the most out of your day, such as focusing on activities that achieve a multitude of results. If you can have fun, make some money, while also spending time with loved ones all while doing a single activity, that's going to free up a lot of time. This is actually why so many people say you should do what you love, because it's actually a time saver. Another method to save time is by developing good habits. When a decision becomes a habit, you do it by instinct without having to think about it or plan for it. Habits save time by decreasing your mental load, which frees your brain power for other more pressing issues. A book titled The Power of Habit talks about this at length and encourages the cultivation of long-term habits as essential to getting more done. The book Turning Pro says the difference between an amateur and a professional is nothing more than the habits they've formed. Finally, the last piece of advice on how to save time is by batching your work. There is no better example of an expert at this than Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4-Hour Workweek, a book filled with life hacks to get more done by working less. Although the book focuses on life being too short to live on other people's terms, in practice the book focuses on the smart use of your time. You've probably heard of the 80-20 rule, that 80% of your results are driven by 20% of your actions. Tim Ferriss asks, why should you even do actions which don't have a large effect on your business? You should cut out the unnecessary tasks and do as much similar work as you can in a single session. Through batching his work and cutting out unnecessary tasks, Tim Ferriss took his business to the next level while spending less of his personal time on each task. Leverage systems. An often repeated quote from The E-Myth Revisited tells us to stop working in our businesses and to start working on them. What does this mean exactly? Well, the difference between a single worker and a business are that businesses are systems. Systems have processes, rules, workflows, and frameworks. When you're working in your business, you're just performing tasks which have accumulated. When you work on your business, you're improving the systems that make it up. Maybe you're working on new policies, or negotiating favorable terms on supplies, or hiring talented people. A business is a system, and you should be spending ample time building that system up, instead of trading your time for money within the business. This is advice also given in The Top 10 Distinctions Between Millionaires and the Middle Class. The author says it's important to take calculated risks, and to work for profits instead of wages. Of course, there are other systems out there to leverage. Whenever you outsource a task to an employee or contractor, you're leveraging money to buy the time of somebody else. In fact, there are all sorts of ways to leverage your money. As author M.J. DeMarco mentions in The Millionaire Fastlane, when most people think about investing, they think about the stock market. Although the stock market has its purpose, he shows how it's a less than ideal wealth accelerator. You're investing in the efforts of somebody else for a relatively low yield. DeMarco instead advocates investing directly in a business you own, rather than a business that somebody else owns. You can keep a closer eye on the money, and when you succeed, you gain far more money. Revenue streams. Most people set a silly goal for themselves, like be a millionaire or become a billionaire. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, has another way of looking at things. In his best-selling book series, he reiterates the importance of developing a stream of cash flow, not just a pile of money sitting in a bank vault. The concept is pretty simple. A pile of money will deplete until it's gone. While if you look at money in terms of cash flow, you can set yourself up for the rest of your life. In fact, the only way to escape the rat race is to have monthly cash flow from assets that exceed your monthly expenses. The moment your passive income exceeds your active expenses, you can do anything you want with your time and money. In his book series, Multiple Streams of Income, Robert G. Allen stresses the importance of these revenue streams along with how easy they are to develop. Real estate, business systems, and e-commerce are all very accessible options to get started. Customer satisfaction. Money doesn't just grow from trees. In the end, everything comes back from your customer. As you might imagine, entrepreneurs have a lot to say about the customer relationship. Interestingly, they almost all say the same thing. For instance, the Go-Giver says to not focus on money outright. Instead, just try to be extremely helpful. People pay for useful products and services, so if you're helping others, the money is guaranteed to follow. If you want to make a lot of money, scale your help to reach as many people as humanly possible. The Millionaire Fastlane also takes this approach, talking about money as a representation of value provided to others. If you want some money, find a way to provide value. If you want millions or billions of dollars, find a way to give millions or billions of people value. The mix between usefulness and scale will do wonders for your bank accounts. The book, The Ultimate Question, says that the only question you should be asking your customers is, how likely would you recommend us to a friend? Companies go viral when happy customers do your marketing for you. The Thank You economy says that you shouldn't have a customer service department because customer service is the company. If you can outcare the competition, people will take notice. The 4-Hour Workweek mentions empowering every employee to make simple customer refunds and such. If it costs less than $100, you can do it. When the entire company is able to treat each customer with the courtesy they deserve, you gain back much more money than you're spending. That's why the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People advises to always seek to understand before seeking to be understood. Finally, the book Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini has a much different approach to customer satisfaction. The book ignores altruisms and talks about customer service as an outright manipulation tactic. Although it seems more sinister, the advice is essentially the same. Cialdini says that by giving your customers small gifts, they feel compelled to repay you. He agrees that old customers have the ability to influence the acquisition of new customers, and the more likable and authoritative you sound, the more likely customers are to feel comfortable giving you their trust and business. Conclusion. Although we mentioned just a small handful of books in the video, there are hundreds and hundreds of others that also offer the exact same advice. This isn't a mistake or coincidence. Many different experts, all with their own life experiences, agree that these points are important. To recap, the best way to deal with competition is by finding a way to separate yourself from everybody else. If you can conduct business in a new space, in a new way, or with a new value proposition, you won't have to worry about competition. In order to maximize your time, you need to batch process your repeatable tasks and utilize multitasking in your free time. By making your good behaviors habits, they'll free up more brain power for other tasks. You have to stop trading time for money. Instead, you should be working on developing systems that make all future work more beneficial. A cash flow is more important than a cash stockpile. A great deal of your time should be put into optimizing the influx of cash, even if you need to spend money to get there. When you work for yourself, the customer is your boss. Keep them happy and you'll wind up a very rich person. Was there anything you'd like to add? If so, let us know in the comments.